Gordy is probably one of the VHS tapes that I watched the most growing up. Certainly, in terms of non-Disney films, this is one that I watched excessively. And I don't know why I'd never reviewed it. So, of course, I jumped at the chance to give it another watch. And actually, there were bits of it that were a lot more traumatizing than I remembered. At the very beginning, something happens, and I'll talk about it in a moment, that absolutely broke my heart. I was a little sad to see that this only has 3.8 out of 10 across 2.1 thousand reviews and ratings on IMDb, because I remember it so fondly. It is a childhood favourite. Having now watched it again for the first time in decades, I can say that if I were watching it for the first time, I am willing to admit that I probably wouldn't rate it as highly. The nostalgia definitely elevates it a little bit. This was released in 1994. It's directed by Mark Lewis. It's written by Leslie Stevens. And we have a cast including Doug Stone, Tom Lester. We have a voice cast including Justin Garms as Gordy. We have Frank Welker, Tress MacNeille. I don't know who plays Gordy. I did do a very quick search to see if I could find out if the pig had been a pig in anything else. I couldn't find anything, but if you know if Gordy, the pig, is played by a pig in any other film, I'd love to know. What is interesting, before I get in with this, I read the trivia on IMDb, and the trivia says, and I quote, "Most crew never did anything else in filmmaking afterward." Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it just means most of them decided they didn't want to do this or they wanted to pursue other things. But just reading it like that, it made it sound like it was a horrendous experience. It may well have been. It just made me laugh. So the film itself is, of course, about a pig called Gordy. And at the start of the film, his father is taken away and little Gordy scurries after him, crying out, "Don't leave us, Daddy!" It broke my heart. I didn't remember that bit. In fact, I didn't remember a lot of the film, to be honest. Not a lot of it came flooding back to me, despite the fact that I really wore out that VHS tape. And it was heartbreaking. And Gordy goes off on this adventure to find his family, to save them from being slaughtered, which is quite a traumatizing topic for a children's film. And he has this adventure, and he's this brave hero pig, and he obviously meets a lot of humans, and I don't want to say too much about what happens, but it definitely is quite a creative film. If I were to say, try and guess what happens on Gordy's adventure, I'd put good money on nobody really being able to guess exactly what happens in this, because it's quite unpredictable, definitely very creative, and as I said, most of it didn't come back to me. Other than the character of Gordy, I didn't have a lot of specific memories for this, which is quite bizarre, because usually when I watch a film for the first time in decades, if it's one that I'd watched a lot as a child, it would all come back to me. And it just didn't, and I don't know what that means. But certainly, it's an interesting narrative. It's got a lot of variety to it. The humans are great. Gordy is absolutely adorable. And the nostalgia, even though I didn't remember a lot of the specifics, the nostalgia was definitely there with the character and the character's voice. When I first heard that character speak for the first time in decades, that was like magic. It was a really beautiful moment. So, to sum up, Gordy starts off as being quite a traumatizing film, and then it becomes a nice little adventure. It's very unpredictable. Watching it for the first time now, I imagine I wouldn't like it as much as I did as a child, but because I have a lot of fond memories of it, fond memories of watching it, but again, not fond memories of specific scenes, there is that nostalgia element, and certainly with the character and the voice of the character, that holds a lot of magic for me. So I still don't agree with that really low rating. I don't think 3.8 out of 10 is particularly fair. I think it's a little better than that, but I am willing to admit that I'm slightly swayed by nostalgia. If you've never seen it, give it a go. It's a sweet film. Ultimately, I'd say it's an enjoyable experience. I'd say it's probably just a one-time watch. I might watch it again at some point, decades down the line, for the nostalgic aspect, but again, if I were watching it now for the first time, I'd definitely say once is enough. But Gordy is adorable, really, really sweet. I find it very entertaining that according to IMDb, most of the crew never did anything else again, which is just very funny. It could just be a tremendous coincidence, but it amused me quite a lot. If anybody who worked on it happens to be listening to me just now, I'd love to know your stories. I'd always love to know anybody's stories if they've worked on film, but in particular, Gordy seems quite interesting. Decent film. probably more aimed at young children despite some traumatizing moments. Maybe that's why I don't remember the specifics. Maybe I kind of blocked it out. But watching it now as an adult, it's sweet. It would be a one-time watch, but either way, I'd say Gordy's worth watching.